This interview is being brought to you by teststrips.com. That's teststrips with a Z.com. Managing diabetes is your business. Making it affordable is theirs. You can turn your extra unused diabetes supplies into cash. Up to $50 per box by visiting teststripswithaz.com. All right, joining me right now, back in action, back inside the Octagon on February 9th in Melbourne, Australia, UFC 234. He takes on Alex Gorgees in a lightweight showdown. Jalin Turner joins me on the program. Jalin, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing great, man. Thank you for jumping on. Very much appreciated. So we are less than a month away from your return to the Octagon. You get Alex. How excited are you to get back in there and do your thing on February 9th?
I'm pretty stoked, man. I've been itching to get back in there. I didn't want to rush it. Didn't want to, be on the shelf too long. So I felt like February was like the perfect time. And, this fight arose and I took it. So I'm happy.
You made your Octagon debut back in October. You got the short notice call to fight Vicente Luque at 170 pounds. And you've spent your entire career fighting at 155. I think you had a catchweight at 160 somewhere sprinkled in there. But I was talking to Mario Bautista, who's going to be making his UFC debut in Brooklyn on Saturday. And he got the call and he said, quote, "You just can't say no to the UFC when they call." So even though you were fighting up a weight class and it was short notice, was that the way you looked at the opportunity? Like, damn, this isn't ideal, but you just can't say no to this.
For me, it was like I had nothing to lose. I got a contract with the UFC. I fought on the biggest card in UFC history, and, I got paid to do what I love. So it was never like something I looked down at like, oh, I shouldn't do that, shouldn't do that. I was like, yes, like why would I say no? Like, why would I say no? Exactly.
Yeah, you talk about your debut on the biggest fight card ever in the UFC. It's in Vegas, all sorts of craziness going on that week in Vegas. Even though the fight with Luque didn't go your way, were you able to take anything away from the experience in terms of things that you learned, some lessons, some silver linings and whatnot?
For me, the biggest thing I learned was that, when you go out there, it's like everything you've been working for. Like a lot of people say they get UFC jitters. I didn't have any jitters. I felt so calm. I felt relaxed when I went to go fight. I had more nerves the day I got the call, the week I got the call, and I was training. I was just like freaking out, like, man, I'm about to fight for the UFC. Like it just felt so surreal until the lights were on, and I was like, all right, I'm in my element. And that's like the biggest thing I took from that fight. Also, like I'm not gonna be at welterweight anytime soon. Like I walked around at like 173, 175 at the heaviest. So it's a weight advantage, but you just learn. You learn every little thing, and you try to pick apart every little opportunity. And I'm thankful for that experience. And Luque was a hell of a fighter, and he was really respectful, really humble. I love that about him. And it's so many things I took away from that fight, like that whole experience in general. Like the bigger the atmosphere for me, the better I feel. Like I love the crowd. It was a sold out show, and I don't break under pressure. A lot of people do that.
Your opponent made his UFC debut last month on that Adelaide card, and he lost a unanimous decision, and will also be looking for his first UFC win in the process. When Alex was the guy presented to you, did you know much about him at all?
I didn't know anything about him. I was like who is this? Like, who am I fighting? I was like, all right, I'll fight him.
Is this process a little more enjoyable for you? I mean, there's pros and cons to everything, but now you have a name. It's at the weight class you've always fought in. You got some time to prepare here, an actual fight camp. Are you enjoying this process more now that things are a little more ironed out for you?
To be honest, I like that short little 2-week camp I had. I don't care for long camps. I'm not a big 8-week camp kind of guy. I'm always training. I'm always in fairly good shape. My weight's always good. So it takes a toll on me mentally when I gotta train so long. I'm just like, damn, I gotta do this over and over and over and over, and then not seeing my son, not seeing my fiance. Like it gets hard. But like this camp, it's been good. I started working on strength and conditioning. I added that to my arsenal, and that's been helping me out a lot. And I feel stronger, feel faster than ever. It's all the same to me. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight by the time February 9th comes, and we'll see how everything else plays out.
So you, like you said, you prefer the shorter camps, and it gives you. Is it a thing of just kind of overthinking things, or you just like just? It almost feels like there's a little bit less pressure on you, like you said with the Luque fight. You felt like you almost had nothing to lose there. Was that kind of the advantage for you, having a shorter camp as opposed to having an 8-week camp? Does it kind of get to you after a while?
I just get when I train so long, I get to a point where my body starts like getting tired of training, and like mentally it starts wearing on me, and physically it starts wearing on me, and I feel like I get injured more with longer camp. There's so many things you want to work on and prepare for, but I feel like if you're already training consistently, then it's just all about fine tuning certain things. So that's why I don't mind taking a short notice fight, taking shorter times to prepare for a certain aspect or a certain style of fighter. Yeah, that's my mind state. I grew up watching like a lot of Cerrone. Cerrone always says anyone, anytime, where. So I like to quote that every now and again.
So adding the strength and conditioning, obviously that's an important part of the game. It makes you a little more well-rounded, makes you a little more explosive. Does that kind of even things out for you, make things a little more interesting in terms of camp? It's not just the same things every single day. Now you're sprinkling in some extra stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely something new. I feel like that's something I'm needed. I've been doing MMA for about almost 6 years, and it's been so repetitive, and it's just something new. I've done strength and conditioning in the past, but it was just never something I like grasped or learned to enjoy. And now I'm learning to enjoy it. I have a great strength and conditioning coach. Coach Joy has been helping me out, and I'm really thankful for everything he's been doing with me. I feel stronger already. Like I said, I feel faster, and I just can't wait to display everything I've been working on.
Have you been to Australia before, or is this going to be your first time heading over there?
It's my first time, and this is that's my dream place to go. I've always wanted to go to Australia. I grew up watching Steve Irwin. He was my idol for the longest time, and it's such a great experience for me, just to be able to go out there and see Melbourne, see the city. And it's my first time ever traveling out of the country, so that's a pretty good that's a good experience for me in general.
Is this going to be one of those trips where you plan on staying a couple extra days so you can enjoy the sights and explore a little bit more?
I do, but I don't. I usually after a fight, I just want to go home. So we'll see how I feel. If I'm on a high horse, I'll probably stay an extra day, but nothing too long.
I try not to go to the traditional how do you see this fight ending route. It's one of my resolutions this year. Once in a while I'll slip back into that, but I mean, if you got one, great. But the way I want to approach this is, what are your goals on February 9th at UFC 234? Is it just getting the win? Is it seeing how much improvement that's been made between the first fight in the UFC to this one? Is it landing something just absolutely insane? What do you hope to accomplish at UFC 234 other than just getting your hand raised?
There's so many ways this fight could play out. I feel like I beat him everywhere the fight goes. So, I've just been working on everything, every aspect of my game. I want to finish him. That's always my goal. That's my go-to. All my wins have been first round finishes. So I want to keep that streak going.
Most people probably know the story about how you got the nickname, the Tarantula. It's excuse me, it's because you had a lot of them. Sometimes you had in the hundreds. Is that right?
Yeah.
I thought what was interesting about the story is you had tarantulas as pets to get over the fear you had of tarantulas when you were younger. How does that mentality, how is that translated to your fighting career? Do you see any similarities between the two?
Growing up, I got bullied a lot. I got into fights every now and again, and I was a person that would try to avoid confrontation, and I feel like that transition into MMA helped because it's I got comfortable being uncomfortable with something I was never comfortable with, and it's the same thing when I owned a tarantula. It was something I became uncomfortable with, and I had to learn to get over it. And now I get comfortable in a fight. If you can fight, you can do anything. If you can own a tarantula, you can do anything. People think I'm crazy all the time. They're like, dude, you're crazy, you're nuts. I'm like, no, I'm just just living. I'm doing what I love, and I love tarantulas. I love fighting, and the way all that came together was just through certain aspects of life that made me want to get better.
How does one have 200 tarantulas? Like, do you put them all in like one, one case? Like, how does that all work? Do you have them separated? Is there like a big wall full of, like a wall of fame of tarantulas? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I had a bunch of containers. Like, they're always like individual containers. Some species are communal, some aren't. So the ones that weren't communal, I didn't house them together. And then I just had like a big like entertainment section of a bunch of like babies, adults, like critter keepers, like 10-gallon tanks, like just full of tarantulas. Like it's weird because like if you visualize it, it seems way way more space consuming than it really is. Like tarantulas don't like too much space, so like you can house them in like smaller containers, but like about yay big, and depending on how big they grow, So yeah, it wasn't too much of a eyesore, but.
Do you have to feed them all at a certain time? Like how does that all work? How time consuming is it?
It became really hectic, and I had so many, like it kind of became like a hassle to take care of all of them. And like with training, I was training so much, I was like, man, I gotta cut down to a few, just my favorites, and then that was it. So like even right now, I only have 6 right now. Yeah, like one point I was like feeding and watering them so much, like then they dry out. You gotta give them water dishes. You gotta feed all of them, and then like when you have a bunch of little babies, like they're in like little deli cups like this big. So feeding all of those individually became too much. I was like, it's like no, I'm over that.
And you said you have a son, right?
Yeah, I have a son.
How old is your son?
He just turned 1 in December.
Does he look at the tarantulas? Does he just like look at them in awe? Does he not really realize that they're there?
He doesn't really realize they're there. Like I don't keep him around them too much.
Right.
Just because I trust tarantulas, but not like that. Like not with my son. Like I'd rather have him like I've had him like play with my lizards and everything, like my monitors, but that's it.
That makes sense, Jalin. I appreciate the time, man. Thank you very much for jumping on here as you get ready for your big fight at UFC 234 in just a few weeks' time. But before you get out of here, let the folks know where to find and follow you on the web, social media, any shout-outs, any sponsors, etc. Please take the floor.
You can find me on Instagram at The Tarantula MMA, Twitter, Jalin Turner, Facebook, Jalin Turner. Shout out to Iridium Sports Agency. Love you guys. Brandon from Terp House, High Performance Mills, Coach Choi, and Ruka Sport. Love you guys. Thank you for everything. Citizens Water Company, and I think that's about it. That's all of them. Yeah.
All right, Jalin. Thank you so much. All the best to you, and best of luck in your fight in Melbourne, Australia. Enjoy the trip.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate you.